I'm having dinner with people I just met, and the conversation quickly turned spicy. This attractive woman sitting opposite me with the most beautiful eyes and shiny hair said something really interesting. She said, "A man who doesn't watch porn feels very different." Now, if you're a man consumed by porn and thirst traps, you need to hear this because I'm going to explain what desexualizing your brain means, why you desperately need it, and how this is the key to success, to more energy, more productivity, and genuine sex appeal. Because I bet you right now, your addiction is turning off women, it's keeping you stuck in the friend zone, and cunningly, it's also robbing you of your masculine energy that women are craving right now. Now, if you don't work on this, if you don't sort this out, you're going to feel much more invisible. You're going to be constantly rejected and sexually ignored your whole life. And the most important thing is you're going to feel really disgusted with yourself. So I'm going to be sharing the exact steps I used to quit porn over like 5 years ago, and how I've successfully helped a lot of guys do exactly the same thing. Now, gentlemen, welcome to Masculine Charisma. I'm your coach, Faisal, and I've been helping a lot of nice guys for over 10 years who've been finishing last with women. Instead of that, I'm helping them to become much more irresistibly attractive on dates and in life, and also stand proud as a man. Now, let's go back to the woman with the shiny hair. So she said, and she really surprised everyone. She said, when I have sex with a guy who doesn't watch porn, it's very different. There is something about him that's different, and I can't put it to words. I just feel it's more special, it's more meaningful, and it's very memorable. There was an awkward silence just after she finished, and I felt this deep sense of shame. I saw the other guys who started glowing red and started feeling that shame. Women can tell if you consume porn. They have this sense. There's a difference between a man who's in control of his sexual energy and the one who's slave to it, a sex pest. Now, as a great philosopher said, Marcus Aurelius, he wrote, "You have the power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find true strength." So, gentlemen, what's desexualizing your brain? Desexualizing your brain is a conscious, right? It's a real conscious act or a habit that helps the brain to reset, move away from that reliance of dopamine addiction, because you're exposed to high volume of sexualized content these days. So it's about reclaiming your sexual energy back instead of hemorrhaging it on the screen, on your mobile phone. It's not about becoming asexual. That's the most important thing here. I really want you to get this. Or about suppressing your sexual desires or your needs. It's about masculine self-mastery, reclaiming back your power and your addiction. The thing is, you see, energy is like rocket fuel, right? Sexual energy is like rocket fuel. You can use it to build your life and enact and what you want, or if you let it control you, it will burn down the village. So why is this so important, and how does this impact you, and how is it impacting men? You need to desexualize, right? If you're really struggling with excessive amount of porn use, I mean excessive amount. Right? If you're spending a lot of time ogling over women like horny teenager on social media or in the real world who are taking advantage of you by sexualizing and objectifying themselves, you need to hear this. You also need to desexualize if you're losing a lot of your energy and your enthusiasm, and you cannot do anything productive or focused, and you lose your focus a lot. You need to desexualize. You also need to desexualize when you have obsessive, right, over sexual fantasies and thoughts about women. It's all consuming and it's really taking over your life, and it's become the central part of your life. As a result, you are neglecting building and maintaining a social life. Maybe also you're neglecting your friendships with other men. Maybe you're neglecting your hobbies, maybe even the gym. And you're putting off projects because you're stuck in porn or constantly consuming endless content in social media. Look, I get this. I got stuck in this rut too. And there was a time in my life that was really frustrating me. Now, guys, picture this. You go on a date, she's cute, she's hot, she's wearing a really nice tight dress. And all you can think of wanting to rip her clothes off. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. It's completely normal to be sexual and have sexual desires with her. But where guys fall short is that they don't work on really connecting with her emotionally. So instead, they become this sex pest. They have this sex pest energy. And she'll immediately go on guard because she'll feel icky, and she'll feel that you only want her for one thing. And she'll also feel used before you've even done anything. That's like a woman who wants to go on a date with you to the best restaurant, best places, and for you to pay for everything, and not really want to connect with you or like you for you. Of course, you're going to feel used and hurt. But if she's hot, you probably put up with that. So when women feel like you only want her for one thing, and that's sex pest, she'll reject you. And sometimes women also want you for one thing. That's okay too. But remember, when a woman cannot feel your sexual energy because you're hiding it and you don't want to come across like sleazy like the other men, or you leaked out all your sexual energy on porn, masturbation, but you're a great guy, what she'll do is she'll end up friend zoning you. So why do we struggle with porn, and why is this not your fault? This is really important to understand this. So here's the truth, right? This is not your fault, okay? Not all of it. Because there is a serious modern day problem that men have. This setup didn't exist 40 years ago. When I was a kid, this wasn't available. Men now have access to sexual images and videos on tap. It's too much, it's too fast, and it's getting too extreme. And the reality is it's destroying men's brains, as well as their intimate life and their energy and their success at work. And I guarantee you it's turning off women, even repelling women, triggering them into disgust. I know there's plenty of women who also trigger disgust in us too. But here, we're here about your growth. This is about you. So let me be clear. Sex and being sexual is natural, is very healthy. So feeling horny, getting aroused if you see an attractive woman or sexual images, it's normal and it's healthy, right? I really want you to know this. Wanting to mate with her, it's all natural. Too many guys get ashamed for this, because if you look at history, too many guys didn't have their behavior under control, right? They were slaves to their sexual urges. And this got many of the men, like sex pests, into a lot of trouble. And it still does. In fact, do you know that study shows that sexual harassment in workplaces and insult cases are often linked to men who cannot control their sexual impulses? But guys, listen, I want you to remember this. And there are sexual harassment cases that are unfounded, right? So there are women who will use and abuse this power, and men are found guilty by default. But also, there's something more worrying about the sexualized brain, the over-sexualized men's brain. And I really need you to get this. A lot of men are using sexualized material as a coping mechanism, right? So they're using it to cope with boredom, they're coping with loneliness, to cope with stress, to cope with the emptiness, feeling like they're a failure. Maybe they're feeling like I'm not enough and I'm comparing myself. So I'm using that to cope with life's reality. Maybe because you've had a lot of insecurities around your body, your look, or your achievement. Porn has become a place to escape from reality. And for some people, the need for porn and masturbation, some people just need it just to get to sleep. This is soul destroying, and it's making a lot of guys more avoidant of purposeful living. You see, porn is a drug. And it's a hardcore drug. Just let that sink in for a moment, right? It activates the same neural pathways as cocaine. So every click floods your brain with dopamine. You constantly create this cycle of craving consumption. And over time, that just gets stronger and stronger. So you need much more. And modern social media apps, and they're desperate to exploit all the hardwiring, sexual hardwiring in men. That's like food companies exploiting the craving of sugar, and or how shopping apps exploit your desire for novelty. They've gamified your biology, and and it keeps you scrolling and clicking and consuming. Remember what this, as a great philosopher, said: discipline is freedom. So your addiction is the opposite. Actually, the addiction is slavery disguised as pleasure, right? Porn, content like that, is cheap instant gratification, and it's out of balance. Here's what men need to know: is that sexual energy is like rocket fuel. Sexual energy is also life energy. Now, you can use sexual energy to consume junk mental food, or you can use it to produce things like art, music, access your creative side. So successful people produce more than they consume. So when you're constantly draining your sexual energy with porn or social media thirst traps, you will have no energy to build anything with, no drive, you'll have no focus, and there'll be no fire. And that's why a lot of men stay at home, don't go out, because they don't have the energy to go out dating, socializing, taking on that world. And as I say, empty stomach hunts. So if you fill yourself up with this, you're not going to have the energy. So what happens when you start to harness this energy? Right? So what really happens when you start taking control of this? Here's something that really happens. Your aura changes. You become much more magnetic. You become unstoppable. This reignites that fire in your belly. And in fact, one of the most famous books on success and wealth was written in 1937. So Napoleon Hill, in the book Think and Grow Rich, said there's an entire chapter on sexual transmutation. He discovered that the most successful men channel their energy. So they channel the energy into work, into creativity, into ambition, and they don't waste it. And it's usually guys over 50 years old. They've transformed that into powerful things. So how can we fix it? Is it possible to fix this energy? Absolutely. So do I need to get rid of porn and sexualized images completely? Guys, no, I'm not saying you have to do this. So in Stoicism, there's one of the four virtues, right? So the four virtues, one of them is about temperance, meaning bringing balance into life. Like everything in life, there has to be a healthy balance. But the problem occurs when sexualized content, porn, masturbation, starts to ruin your life, and you're flooded with guilt and shame. See, it's that guilt and shame that erode, right? So it starts to erode your self-worth and makes you feel rubbish inside. And because you're using this as a coping mechanism, or maybe you're using it to fill a void, emptiness, you're using it to cope with stress. So how do you start fixing this? Okay, here's a really cool way. Remember this: humans are a habit machine. So complaining is a habit. I bet you overthink, and overthinking is a habit. Just like that, porn and sexualized images, consumption of that is a habit too. So early on my journey of self-discovery and healing, my coach told me a clear message, and I love this message. This is the most amazing message. He said, if you want to change your life, change your habit. And that's the same thing as ancient philosophy. So I started to work on my habits, my daily habits, and with accountability. And I started with like cold showers, making my bed, limited phone use, meditating, going out for walks. And then on the 1st of January 2020, I decided with 3 other guys to run a private accountability group. And one of the habits was to have absolutely zero use of porn. But here's the key: we didn't just quit porn in isolation or just like that. There were small disciplines that built momentum and momentum. And then when we became good at those small habits, we started to stack the bigger habits. And I've been doing this habit work for many years, and it helped me to tackle the bigger issues. So I didn't start with porn straight away. And that's how I started to get rid of my need for porn. So since the 1st of Jan, I don't consume porn. I keep my sexual energy within myself and with the women that I'm with. Okay. If my lover sends me nudes, I like that. I do have an exception. This has not only enhanced my connection with the women that I'm with, but also for both of us, it helps us to reach a new level, like a new level emotionally, physically, and spiritually. Okay, on most days anyway. So, I have my bad days as well. So perfectionism isn't the goal here. Just like the shiny hair lady said, guys who keep their sexual energy within themselves, there's a unique energy and magnetic pull about these guys. And I've had other men in my group give up porn, and some of them have reduced it to a healthy level where they don't feel guilt and shame about it, but it's not all consuming them. As the Stoics virtues goes back to the Stoic virtues of just temperance, life having balance. And balance is also true for food, for drinking, for sex, for work, for thinking, for even exercise. A lot of people can get over the top with exercise. So everything basically in life, just bring a lot of balance to this, not perfection into this. So now, how do we get into desexualizing methods? And that has worked for me and the other guys I've coached. So here's what I want you to try. So for 30 days, you have to do 6 things, right? And do them really well. Now, some of them are going to be really tough, but the whole point is it's a challenge. And you're not always going to pass this challenge. You're always going to fail at sometimes. But without challenge, right, you won't grow and you will stay and rot in that comfort zone. So just remember this. Masculine energy grows in challenge, but it diminishes in the comfort zone. So let's have a look at number 1. The first thing to start with. So rule number 1 is no porn. That's it. And I think it's obvious. So don't consume any pornographic content at all. Videos, images, 0 tolerance. So that's step 1. The second thing is no, right? This is the hard one for a lot of guys. No ogling over thirst traps, online or in person. And I really struggle with this one as well because there's hot girls everywhere, especially on social media. And when the bikini photos are in the summer, whatever happens, and wherever you find attractive women, stay away from lingering onto that. So you probably see a pretty woman in real life, okay? The thing is you see her and just quickly move on. It's a natural desire to want her, but you don't want to linger in that desire. You don't want to be creating more, doing a double take, checking her body, checking her up and down, fantasizing about sex. That's where you want to get away from. Okay, so then you got rule number 3. Again, this really helps with desexualizing. No sexual humor, no memes, no content, right? So I know guys like to send all stuff on WhatsApp messages and groups. And I clearly told the guys in the groups that I'm in, no sexualized material, because I'm going to detox from this. And I've been doing this from, 1st of Jan 2020. So no sending sexualized content, memes, jokes, comedy, funny, because anything that'll trigger sexual thoughts or activities, you want to keep completely away from. And that includes like edgy sexual humor or anything like that. Okay, so that's a no-go. Stay away from that. Okay, now we're going to go to rule number 4, right? No fantasizing of women, sex, and their bodies. Okay, their bodies, not my body. Because it's easy to fantasize about that. The kind of girls that you want. You start fantasizing about her, the girls that maybe you want to get into relationships with. The moment you notice your emotions, you just have to tell yourself, and you have to slow down, that I'm fantasizing and I can let go. And if you entertain it, you will fail, right? So I like to just meditate and start counting. So I'll take it. Inhale, count 1, 2 for exhale. And I'll just keep doing this. And I'll do this until 10 and just keep doing this. So that kind of redirects my focus, or I'll focus on the surroundings next to me. So that's rule number 4. Okay, so rule number 5. This is a really tough one. No ejaculation for 30 days. Okay, so not when you're masturbating. I mean, you can masturbate, but consciously. If you're having sex, no ejaculating. And women will find that incredibly powerful. You'll find that power. Imagine having the capacity and the power for when you want to ejaculate. That is a power, and women will really appreciate that. Now, this is a real powerful exercise. So it's powerful because it's all about power and the power you have over yourself and your body. So for sex, for a lot of guys, it's usually, they lacks sensuality. It's more like, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. And then I have to come, she has to come. And a lot of nice guys get a thrill of making a woman come. It's like a sense of, hey, achievement, I'm worthy. This is very much of the male brain. Now, there's nothing wrong with this, guys. It's just very black and white thinking, and it's very result oriented. Now, this is important in success in work, but this kind of thinking hampers seduction, attraction in women, because it's a flow. It's not like achievement. So practice this is real self-mastery, where you transform from performance kind of thinking, which is outcome attached, to enjoying the journey. It's like eating and enjoying every single moment rather than just gobbling your food down for the sake of just eating. I mean, some guys do that, but enjoy the taste. This is real extreme masculine restraint. And it offers another deep connection. But when I've been with women where I've had no ejaculation, but we're having intimacy, it just drives us both insanely crazy. The energy is very different, right? I've had the guys in my group already tell me that. It's just amazing. And their energy, sexual energy, is really flowing. All right, so now let's get to rule number 6. This is the last one. So no chasing women for any kind of validation or any attention. See, a lot of sex starved guys chase women when they're feeling really lonely, feeling bored, or they're horny. So for 30 days, notice this. Am I reaching out to this woman because I'm bored, or there's a promise of sex, or I'm feeling lonely, or I'm horny? What are you reaching out for? So focus on connection, reaching out for connection, not the conquest of sex. Because trust me, women will appreciate you connecting to them on an emotional level. And I'll do another important thing. It'll reveal how good you are at emotionally connecting. Because a lot of the guys I help with really struggle with emotional connection and being empathetic, and they are quite avoidant in this. So guys, this is the transformation. Imagine doing this for 30 days. You will see, and I've done this many times, you'll see a profound change in your life. Your energy returns, that fog gets lifted, you feel much more alive. Your confidence, grows more. You're no longer enslaved to your urges. You feel more in control, more in power. You're like the master of your own domain. And what you'll also notice is that shame and guilt starts to come down, and women will respond to you much more differently. They can sense that difference because your aura will become much more irresistible. And guess what? Your productivity, I find that it just started to increase because that sexual energy is really powerful energy, which, works on your creativity, your purpose, and your drive. And as you work on this, your emotions and your connections will start to work and deepen. And it will start to heal your sexual fracture. So you'll start to build a lot more sexual attraction with women. And then you'll stop being a consumer of bad, unuseful, junk food content. So you got to remember the gifts this will bring. Yes, you are going to struggle with this. Yes, you are going to fail. But you have to endure this. You have to go through failure. Because remember, no man is free who's not mastered himself. So right now, if you're trapped into porn addiction and sexual obsessions, you're not going to be a free man. You're a slave to your impulses. And also the algorithms are designed to exploit you. So they're exploiting you empty dopamine hits so you feel like you're getting somewhere. But at the end, you'll feel worse. So just remember this. Every man has within this reservoir of powerful sexual energy. And it's the same sexual energy throughout history and throughout civilization that has created some of the most amazing art, conquered mountains, and forged legacies, right? So guys, my question to you is, what are you going to do with your sexual energy? Will you continue to use it to drain yourself on the screen, or will you give it away to strangers on the internet while when your real life is withering away? or will you reclaim it, master it, and channel it into something becoming much more capable of a man within yourself? This isn't just about quitting porn. To me, this is really about reclaiming your masculine energy and power. This is, to me, is also about self-respect and becoming that man that women are drawn to naturally and other guys will respect, right? And the most important thing is you start to become the man you can be really proud of, right? It doesn't have to be perfect, but this 30-day challenge, all right, I suggest you start this now, not tomorrow, not next Monday or something like that. You really have to really commit to this, right? Now, there's a Chinese proverb. I really like this one. It says, the best time to plant a tree was like 20 years ago, and the second best time is now. So guys, take on this challenge, right? Doing this on yourself, with yourself can be quite a challenge in itself. So I have a brotherhood of men who, refuse to be slaved by the screen. So they really want to develop a strong future within themselves. So guys, if you're really struggling with this, what I suggest is you tap into the real part of you. And if you want personalized coaching or kind of like support around this, check out my website. It's masculine.co, which has, group coaching and one-on-one coaching, which will really help you and support you. So just remember this, guys. You're not going to do this on your own. It's very difficult to do this on your own. But when you have support from other like-minded men, we start to elevate much quicker. There's a lovely saying that if you want to go fast, go on your own. If you want to go further, go together. All right, Kings, I'll see you in the next video.